Hello, everybody. Welcome to DC Time. I'm Dean.
I'm Chris.
Thanks for joining us. Glad to get together again. Chris and I are talking today a little bit about things of this world, I guess, and how to navigate through some of the things that's going on. Of course, currently we all have something going on. If you look at the news, of course, seems like a train wreck.
Mm-hmm.
But that could be every day. That could be anytime someone turns on this video or watches his video.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right? At any time in this history, we're all experiencing something as far as the suffering are the things we go through. We always have wonderful comments. I wanted to say again, if you're new to the show, I always love and appreciate y'all. Love and appreciate all the comments. I let Chris answer back to those, which has just really worked. It doesn't mean I don't read them. I probably should do a better job at answering some of them. But I'm with you all when you're out there commenting, and I do appreciate that. And I let Chris do a lot of that. So if you ever do have any questions or comments or want to say, yeah, free game.
We love it.
And I would love to get back to you.
It challenges us. It helps us.
Yeah.
Also.
Oh, for sure.
So, yeah.
And so, on the last one where there was a comment, regarding the suffering thing, the circumstances, and man, we get it. That's the age of, it's the thing, it's a struggle of minds, it's a struggle of humanity, I think. Sometimes these questions of why, or what is going on, or something I appreciated as I was learning and came onto this wonderful good news of a loving Father that loves his creation and going to save all people. And I started learning, and I learned a lot through people that were considered themselves to be an atheist or agnostic, and the way they viewed how can this loving God do these evil things? What are you saying? So I remember challenged by that, but I had a lot of, made a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's that age-old question, right? Of you're saying this is a good Father. What about all this evil? And then now what? Now you're telling me he's responsible for everything? You can start looping to where none of this is making sense. So you can just throw it all away. I get that. That's a question logically that how can you respond? And yet we read Paul's words. We read from a man that's in prison, suffering horribly, going through things, and he's talking in this. He takes us to another realm. That's what he does. And it's spirit. And it's the Spirit of Christ that he's talking about. Mm-hmm. And so Chris and I, that's where we find our peace and our joy. It certainly doesn't come from us or our abilities or what we even believe or anything. It comes from Father himself. And so when we get those glimpses of peace and joy and what we think is real and what's going to become real, that's enough to sustain us through some of these horrible things that we all go through. If there's anything we could do to somehow be of help, that's all we would want to try to do as far as to encourage. So the whole show was set up just to maybe encourage or just show us or show you guys kind of where we're at sometimes on our current understanding of things.
Right. We have attempted, and we've talked about this a lot. There is a desire on our behalf to be very transparent. Now, that transparency involves our loved ones and our friends, and there's so much that I feel I can or cannot share about someone else's life, But
think about, I'm going to cut you off there.
That's fine.
Think of it, because it is registered to where, we can never stop talking about our circumstances. Mm-hmm. And then what, all the things that happen.
Yeah.
Day to day, week to week, hour to hour, year to year.
Yeah.
And, right?
Right.
It's the ups and downs.
Exactly.
And
it's the waves.
And right now,
ebb and flow.
And right now we're just talking about the downs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So say the down. So the downs. So then if we're talking about that, we'd never stop. It's talking about the circumstances around us. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I cut you off. We're with you, and then hopefully, you're with us to where we all share that as humans.
Right.
There's not a scale, so to speak, of we're all trapped. We're all kind of we can't see clearly. We're
Yeah.
all trapped
Yeah.
within this physical relative
Relative
realm.
sense. Yeah.
Sometimes we're trapped and we can't really see the full picture of who we really are, who Christ really is. What does that really mean? Who Father really is. A loving Father that has perfectly planned our steps. I know that sounds outrageous. Or I have empathy for people that will not make sense of that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and that's been
Right.
a concern of ours.
That's-
When we're talking,
Sounds outrageous.
we do think of the people who may be listening, and their circumstances can be overwhelming. I met a young lady this past summer who I met her on Saturday, the day before she got a diagnosis that sounds horrific. She's a couple years younger than me.
Yeah.
And I sat there at this table. Everything at this place we're at is joy and reunion, and we're all seeing each other. And this young lady shares this horrific news. And I will just be totally honest. This is that effort of transparency. I am a person who really desires to say something or to lift somebody. It's a real thing in me. I desire to encourage, to pick up. You're his dad. That's an encourager. He is a man who lifts you up. He makes you feel like you're the most important person in the room. You know, I love having an impact like that. Now, words do not remove our circumstances. They stay there even after we've said them, and the words have disappeared from the air. The circumstances are there. And that's what I talked with that young lady about. I told her that, it was interesting. I was just looking up the word circumstances. It comes from circle. And there are these things placed about us. Well, who places things?
Yeah.
Again, I just watched a study on theos and El. Theos in the Greek means placer. El in Hebrew means subjector. That's our Father. And you got to believe Romans 11:32 locks up all together in stubbornness so that he might be merciful to all. He does that. He places the circumstances around us. I have circumstances around me right now, and I can't remove them. No. I've got to deal with them,
And then you're right. And some of them are, some of them we, in a relative sense, deal with.
Yeah.
And then what about the circumstances that there's no possible way to deal with it on terms that we as humans and you as humans want to deal with?
You can't erase them. You can't get rid of them.
You want to see a different result currently, temporarily.
Right.
And we can't deal with it. Sometimes that's our lot here.
Yeah.
Well, we read it.
Yeah.
Here with Jesus, with Paul, with people here in the scriptures. And that's why they're in another realm. They're in another realm.
Yeah.
When any joy and peace or anything like that, when we're talking about joy or peace or something here, it's a spirit, it's another realm. It's different than, to me, joy, peace within this world. That's the ups and downs. Mm-hmm. We can talk about all the good too.
Yeah.
On days when the goods, we love that.
Correct. Yeah.
So we can talk about the good things and we can talk about the bad.
Yeah.
That could just be distracting sometimes, so many times. And yet, we want to find, like you said, you want to find the words. What did I just say? It came from, you mentioned my parents, or what you mentioned
your
my
dad. Oh my God.
But they just told me I was with them this week and said something about the good news, the gospel, and that statement of, share the gospel and sometimes use words.
So, I like that.
Be there. And it's about, there's something else going on. Mm-hmm. And can we stop and slow down and have real empathy for others and for ourselves and to see what we're really going through and be there for each other, knowing that, we temporarily, we can help each other. We can do all kinds of things. Of course, help each other out. And we should help each other and we should do better, should do good. If there's anything you can do to help yourself or help others, I'm all for it. I'm not, it's not about, of course, do all that, but real peace, real help, it comes from Father. It comes from a spirit.
Yeah.
That gets humbling. That it comes in His time, and He's got a plan for you and plan for us of when and how that's all going to shape. Chris just read me some verses here that, it gives you chills to know.
To what degree?
Yes, that's the part of it. To what degree?
To what degree this
involved.
Creator is involved with His creation, and I get wrapped up in that. That keeps me in these moments.
Yes, it sustains through.
And so when we share those, it is our sincere effort, hoping, if this could lift another person out of there. Because I think this person who shared on our show, I have no reason to believe she's not being honest about her situation. And so, man, I would love to offer something that would lift you out of those circumstances. But I also know who is the placer of our circumstances, who subjects us to our circumstances. But I believe it's purposeful and intentional. There's a poem, I think it's called The Weaver. I can't remember exactly. All I know is the illustration is basically you see one side of what is being woven into this loom. And what you see doesn't look like anything. You got tattered threads hanging down. You got black threads and blue. They don't look like they go together or whatever. The other side is a masterpiece, and we're not given, for reasons I can't explain, we're not given that sight now. We're given faith, a measure of faith, to just trust in the weaver at this point. And that's what we're trying to do. I said something along the lines of, we live and experience in the relative sense while trusting the one who has operated and fixed all things in the absolute. That's what we do.
Yeah, and I like the trust there word.
Yeah.
I like the trust, and I like the and then of course the relative and absolute, but then to me, it goes into that deep place of, then what are we really saying with that? And there's an awareness of, who we really are in Christ and from Father, and all that means to come from Him, and a loving Father that's going to work it all out. That part of it can bring some peace. That part of realizing, because we're tricked, I think, or the way I sometimes describe it, not to confuse, it's as if it's an illusion sometimes. It's not, it's relative, it's real, it's temporary pain, suffering. I get it. I experience it also. And sometimes there's seemingly no way out. And you would do anything to get out of it. So I do, I get all that, but it's as if the real us, we're trapped in these circumstances, and we look through the physical and the relative, and we're not seeing the real picture, the real us, the real realm that clearly Paul is in, because he's saying, when you read his words, read it from that standpoint that he's a man in physical pain and mental pain and being hurt and maybe going to be killed, and he's in prison, and all those kinds of things. And then look at his words in Ephesians and Colossians. And look what he's talking about pitiful compassions and love and peace and joy and happiness and being blessed.
And he's
being given all things. Being having nothing. There's nothing else he could ever want or hope for. He has everything. What's he talking about?
This week I was reading an appendices written in the book The Absolute Sovereignty of God by John Essex. And in his story, which was incredibly late, in fact, I haven't even finished it yet. I'm going into another section, but the section I was reading about, he referenced Hebrews 4:12, and I was unfamiliar with Hebrews 4:12. I don't read Hebrews a lot. I know some things in Hebrews, and have looked at some things, but I have never really studied Hebrews much. And he used the verse Hebrews 4:12, so I went to it. For the word of God is living and operative and keen above any two-edged sword, and penetrating up to the parting of soul and spirit, both of the articulations and marrow, and is a judge of the sentiments and thoughts of the heart. Now, my reading that in those moments, again, was that awareness. It was a hair on the back of my neck stands up. I'm thinking, again, a picture of the intimate dealings of Father. I love that the Word of God is living and keen beyond any sword, two-edged sword. Keen being the sharpest, the most focused, the most deliberate. The fact that the word here for the word, logos of God. So then I thought, logos, that could be the plan of God. So then I thought, read it that way. For the plan of God is living and operative. I like that. You know,
His Christ is living and operative. His plan is living and operative.
Yes.
You start doing things and see it as real, where his plan and the plan that he had for all humanity and his son himself.
Yeah,
Look what all that accomplished.
That next statement, and penetrating up to the parting of soul and spirit. I looked back at my immature and my young Christian understanding, and I'm telling you, I had a place in there in my mind where I couldn't separate soul and spirit. I thought they were the same. I thought when somebody was talking about that, they were talking about souls. I'm talking about those early days of trying to figure this out. You're going to church and hearing all this stuff. And then I'm reading here, right up to the parting of the soul and the spirit. The articulations to the marrow. It, again, for me, presses in on that awareness and how grateful I am that this is the degree of God's focus on his creation and us. And so that God has your best heart, your best interest at heart, even when we can't see it, even if we don't see it. I'm telling you to hang on and trust that. I have this feeling that in the relative, it's going to pay off huge in the absolute.
I like that.
We have that in 2 Corinthians 4:17.
It's got to. Of course it's going to.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to. So, and that's,
So that's where we are tonight.
And that's what drives out the fear. That's what drives out the trouble a little bit.
Yeah.
Drives it out, those awareness. And that's what Jesus himself said, right? There's a lot of no fear verses and
Love drives it. Perfect love drives it.
let not your hearts be troubled. Type peace, So, we hope that for you all. We hope that for ourselves. We love you all. We'll let you go there.
Take care.
Wrap it up.
Yep. Have a good week, guys.
All right. See you next time.